This is Jim Osterbur, and the reality of life is that you guys just don't listen. You don't search. You don't read. You don't do anything that you need to do in order for life to survive. So I'm going to try to help you by leading just a teeny little bit. I don't like to lead. But true democracy is built on three principles. One is that we make the laws ourselves. We don't hire people to make the laws because they corrupt them. We make the laws ourselves. We vote on them, and we do establish the laws by enforcing the laws that we create. We don't need a lot of laws. 100 or so would be more than enough to take care of the nation for forever. Real laws, not play laws, not rules, laws, which apply to all of us. Not a few, all of us. So if we make the laws that we need, we will have a democracy. But there will still be emperors that try to take over. Like Trump wants to be. He wants to be Hitler. He really does. And he thinks that he can remove immigrants, whoever he calls an immigrant, by simply forcing them out. And of course that will take the army, because they will have guns. There are millions of them, and they don't want to move because they have no place to go. So you can expect probable civil war out of that. So that's a choice, but what we have to do is give the soldiers and the policing a Bill of Rights of their own. In other words, they are not required as a soldier or police to honor or accept any order at all that is not consistent with the laws that we make for them and for ourselves. In other words, if a commander decides that you should kill this group over here, you just say no. And we, as a society, must enforce that. They have the right to say no, because that's the difference between an emperor and a democracy, is the fact that we do not allow the leader to make decisions that are not within the law of our nation, our society, or our world. So if we have world law, what we do is enforce that law that we, the world, make. I don't mean leaders for us, I mean we, the world, make, so that we have a clear and full understanding of what they can and they cannot do. And if a leader goes beyond that, it is the purpose of an international society to enforce upon that leader that they will go to court and explain themselves. They are liable for punishment according to our laws as a world, and we will not accept weapons of mass destruction or endless amounts of money for military or threats of any kind. We are the world, we are the nation, we will decide. That's the price of democracy. We will decide, not you, we will decide. And we will enforce that on our leadership. The unfortunate truth is that, as with COVID, in this USA, Nazi came to power. It was just pure Nazi. There was nothing else. It was Nazi. And you won't have to call the leader at the time, which was Biden, a Nazi or Hitler, because the fact is they only went so far. Of course, Trump intends to go farther. But the fact of the matter is, Nazi, or you can call them any number of things throughout society, it's just a marauder that says, we are in power now. We are going to take the power from you. We are the authority. We have a gun and we're going to shoot you if you don't obey us. That's what a Nazi is. And there's lots of those out there. And there's lots of people who support Trump, for instance, that say, we're going to get our nation back. But you're absolutely wrong, because the nation cannot go back. We are a world now of at least 8.2 billion people. If we stand 1 meter apart, that's 3 inches more than a yardstick, or 3 feet. 3 inches more, 1 meter apart. That means we go for 8.2 billion people at a meter apart, center of the chest to center of the chest. We are a line of humanity that is 8.2 million kilometers long. That's enough people to go around the earth more than 205 times at the equator standing on water. And that's enough people to go to the moon and back as a steady link of humanity, at least 21 consecutive lines. More than that, in fact. And we grow 1% growth, which means that's one person per 100 people more this year than last year over deaths. 1%. That's 82 million new mouths to feed each and every year from now on. And of course that's 10 per 1,000. 10 new babies more than were here last year per 1,000 people. Do you think you can stay within that? You can't. So in other words, you have to make choices. You have to actually accept reality, and there's no going back, because 82 million people more each year at 1% for the world means that 82 nations have to make room for 1 million more people each. Think about that for a moment. 82 million people are coming for this year at 1%. And every nation has to, or 82 nations have to make room for 1 million more. That's the numbers. That's the reality of our situation. And there's no amount of water for that. There's no amount of food for that. There's no amount of anything for that. We have to take population control. We have to take human control, because the consequence of all leadership is, and all, you know, when you have to have a leader, that means you are a herd of animals. And if you are a herd of animals, what you do is it's us or it's them. That's what the situation is. It's us or it's them. And of course, when a few more days or a few more years go by, it will be only us or them, because there is no going back. There's no going back. You cannot ask billions of people to just die off, and they come back within 10 years anyway. Be reborn, at least within 10 years. Because, you know, if you want to go back to 7 billion people, that would be, you have to kill 1.2 billion people off. Do you think you can kill 1.2 billion people off? Got enough guns and ammo for that? No, you don't. And they would just be World War III, and it would end with extinction. That's the reality of the day. Or if you want to go back to 1970, for instance, when there was about 5 billion people, more or less, probably a little bit less, that means you got to kill just about half of them. Just take a look around you. You want to kill half of the people standing next to you, every other one? Are you going to do that? You're not going back. That's facts. But we have to deal with what we have to deal with. There's no army that's going to get you out of the sludge that the university brought. And it is university done. The universities have created every part of leadership that has governed this nation and probably the world for the last 50 years. So it is a university problem. And media today shows you exactly what media does. It disguises what is real to support what is not real, and that's power of people. There is no such thing as power of people when we're overloaded as a world. All the resources are being used up. That's a university trait. All the money has been contaminated and cursed. That's a university decision. The world has trillions of tons of poison dumped on it. That's a university reality. The world is facing extinction because a university did this experiment, and that's what our result is. And 1,000 different other things, all university derived. Doesn't make them entirely the enemy, but they're certainly not worthy of leadership anymore. That's just the truth of it. But neither are the people who want to be animals. You can't just have a leader and say, now I don't have to do anything else. That's just not real. You do have to make decisions. With 8.2 billion people, what we all do makes a difference. Literally, what we all do makes a difference. Because if 1% of us, which is 82 million people, 82, the numbers are just enormous, and we cannot avoid them. If every person gets to eat 1 pound of food a day, and let's say for 365 days a year, I think it was 2.7 trillion pounds of living organic matter, living creatures, plants, whatever it is, fish, whatever it is. And the oceans, of course, are in terrible crisis. Everything is dying because of you. Everything is being lost to extinction because of you, our humanity, all of us. It ain't just me or you, it's all of us, with very few exceptions. So we have to make changes. If we don't make changes, we are going to go to hell that we created for ourselves, and there will be no escape from the cannibalism that comes next, because there will be nothing to eat. And when there is absolutely nothing to eat, decisions will be made. So try to think about things that are important. Try to avoid the curse of media, which is to distract you from what is important. The reality is they do not provide you with evidence, and they gain money from you, as with COVID. That was 24/7, 365 days a year for at least a year. COVID, COVID, COVID. And it was all obey, obey, obey. And they got billions for that, no doubt, because the total of $6 trillion spent for 100 million shots is $60,000 per shot. Your vaccine in your arm costs $60,000. That's just the first part of COVID crisis, failure, and Nazism. They took over the nation, and the media helped them, because they got $1 billion to spend, I'm sure, or who knows how much, because they could. And that's only 1/60th of the price that the universities collected. And why is the university getting that much? Because they set the price. Why do pharmaceuticals cost so much to make a new drug? Because universities set the price. Why does medicine cost so much? Because universities created the doctors, and they charged them $500,000 each to be graduated. And how come are we so utterly destroyed by university experimentation? And that's because they want to play God. We have to take back control of our lives, our world, and our nation. And we have to do it with law. There is no other way. We are too many people to avoid law. We cannot fight your way to this or that or the other thing. You'll just create war, and war is extinction. You can't do it with leaders. We all have to do it together. We have to make our own law. We have to enforce our own law. We have to understand the consequences of being wrong, as is so utterly absurd with the idea that there are university experiments with trillion-dollar machines that are trying to ignite the same fire here as on the sun. The same fire that burns your skin in summer from 94 million miles away. They want to ignite that here, claiming all we have to do is not worry about it because it'll just extinguish itself. But that is absolutely wrong. And one ignition will prove that they have in fact ignited the same fire as on the sun here. Fire with radiation that will melt you melt you from well over 100 miles away. Fire that is stated to be 1,000,000 miles long on the sun. 1,000,000 miles long on the sun. They want to bring that here. That's 4 times the distance of the moon from us. Think about that. It will eject the atmosphere of this planet. And we can't go back. We can't stop it. It's a nuclear fire. They are trying to burn atoms. And it is certainly Hades or hell or whatever it is once it's created, because you can't go back. And they try to do that every day. And the universities all agree, because it's $1 trillion to spend it. It's their job. It's their pride. It's their power. They get to do what they want to do. They get to play God. And of course they can't play God, because every single one of them were just our former classmates. That's all they were. That's all they are. Leader or not, whatever it is, just a former classmate. And